Halloween / pre-origin special night. Tonight, this is far and wide, high and low for special guests. Where do we go? The man who keeps Christian Freed in a job. Mr. Dan Sullivan, for Warwick Great and head of the Mount Maria Seniors Program. Welcome aboard, brother.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Nice. Just, can you spill any beans on Freedy? Like,
do we have to get straight into that?
Well,
can we just
not the normal illegal stuff that people often ask me about? Is he for real? And I go, oh no, that's all just humour.
Can we just mention how you came just as Joe Scully with a fucking a Mexican hat on? Or?
And so what's the crack there, mate? Have you just got your normal, what's that normal attire when you go to the crack dens and that? Do you just wear that wife beater singlet and that actually beanie? I thought it was a balaclava. I thought you had a black eye from wrestling around for the last fucking hit of the old good stuff or something on the weekend, mate.
I don't know much about that, but back to Sully's question.
You're looking well. You're looking well.
You're not defending yourself very well there. You sort of just brushed it. I like it. Well,
that's the spirit. That's good work, mate.
How's everyone's week? What's happening?
Well, I've been listening to this podcast. I did a bit of research on, listened to a few of the old ones, and I was so impressed that I actually come dressed as Freedy tonight.
That's
as
spirit.
You can see I've got my bum bag here, and if I'm the camera, there's all sorts of peptides and drugs in here. If anyone wants anything, we'll be right.
He'll be keeping that. Yeah, he'll keep. It was funny. It's been almost a week since someone has contacted me through someone to complain about the show. So we almost got there this week until Damon Tuka's message caught up with my missus and a few other ladies I used to work with and said, have you ever listened to that show? Have you heard what they talk about? And my missus said, yeah. And she goes, I'm surprised the police don't raid Christian's house. And Jane said, yes, so am I. So that's good stuff. Yeah.
I had a message from Connor in my USA side, the other little hooker.
Donahue.
Donahue. And his missus is thinking about starting a podcast, but she's real loose, he reckons, and she's also a teacher. And he goes, I got to call him back, and he said, how do you go about it being like the way that you talk, but also working in high school? She needs some tips on how to go about it.
He lies. He just lies and never
I'll give you a
reveals
tutorial. You change your last name on Facebook, and that's all you do. You just continue to lie.
It's obviously all jokes. It's not true, is it? Really?
No, that's it. It's definitely not true.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Yeah.
Never happened.
No, nothing binding legally there or anything. No.
But sometimes the staff room gets looser than this when me and Sully are involved in it. So
I can imagine. Oh,
I couldn't
workplaces.
imagine you in a staff room. It just doesn't compute.
Imagine that if you ever bugged the lunchroom at your work, if you're a boss, things you'd find out about the blokes or the people in general that work for you and what they get up to on weekends.
Well, we got a stonecutters. So we got a stonecutters group, and Sully's the grand poobah of it.
Oh yeah, and you only let certain individuals into this.
Well,
nice.
He brings them in,
and you have to have a swearing in process when you come in.
Definitely.
There's what happens at Stonecutters stays at Stonecutters.
Oh, massively.
All that sort of stuff we go through. We've got a hat and with horns on it and all sorts of stuff. So it's good. It's not a secret cult or anything, but it's quite good, yeah.
We're hoping one day a jerk circle breaks out, but we just got to see.
And we wonder who suggested that part. We just
I'll be in the middle.
Yeah, who could have suggested that? All right, we haven't been together since the grand final. Wow, good night that one was.
Yeah.
No, but did you trick or treat last night?
What's that?
Did you trick or treat
I
last
was
night?
at work, mate, dodging. There was hailstorms surrounding where I work. I had messaged from my missus where the car got fucked up. Then I looked on Facebook when I was on a break, and I saw everyone putting up like giant rock-sized hail and that from all over Brisbane, not just deep out towards Ipswich and shit. There was some people everywhere seemed to have been putting photos or little videos up of their yards and how it was whacking them, and
Very large.
different
very
people
large
put photos of bonnets and shit that had been caved in. Did it hail here?
There's a bloke.
Nah.
There's a bloke video I saw on Facebook. He's got this ginormous hailstone. It was probably like 100 mil round. It's come through his roof tiles, through the ceiling, and landed in his living room.
They were putting comparing cricket balls, and some of the hail was a lot bigger than a normal cricket ball. Like some look like you've just picked up a brick from a quarry and thrown it at someone's windscreen.
Yeah, That's nuts. Imagine if you got clocked with one of them. Seen videos of dogs running around the yard trying to catch hail and just getting slaughtered. Fuck. I was like,
Terrible.
get your
man.
dogs inside, cunt. Fuck
Yeah, you
it.
wouldn't. You heard this was coming. It wasn't like a freak thing that happened over half an hour. They told everyone long and hard. And it was about 5 degrees cooler on the south side than it was on the north
Yeah,
side.
let's talk about the weather for like an hour, right?
We're the bureau right here. This is where the fucking
It
work
was very
goes.
cold in Penrith last Sunday night.
You've got to
wasn't it
prepare
ever?
for things like this, mate, okay?
Yeah.
You know, it's like another bloke I know. He ain't no fucking genius. He's a coach of a under-17 side, maybe West Mitchie. After one day his side completed low, he had him using a wet footy at training. It didn't rain for the next month. So this was really a up-to-date coaching method there by this mysterious man. And he's not the short, quiet one of the coaching pair either.
What do you boys think about the Great
Yeah.
GF?
I thought it went
I
pretty much the way we thought it was going to go.
Penrith got flattered by the fact that if the cheese hadn't have got binned, a couple of things went their way. And Smith saying that to the ref, anywhere else, you'll get away with saying that you're trying to even this out. But you say it at an elite football level, you've overstepped the mark. Because Bellamy, when was it? 2008, Smith got suspended after a semi against the Broncos for a blatant grapple tackle on thigh day, or it looked like it was. And they had the odds for it afterwards, like straight after the game, and they were speaking to him in the press conference. And he basically accused the judiciary of bias. Bookmakers don't make odds without having information from somewhere, blah, blah, blah. Well, they sued him for that, and he had to pay him out.
Yeah, well, everyone knows that the golden rule, you can't say anything to ref about him cheating, or like if you call a ref a cheat, that's it. You get suspended for a long time, or something like Smith said. What you're trying to even this out, or sort of alluding to the fact that
he said it straight. He goes, we all want it to be a grandstand finish, but you're basically giving him a leg up here. But that Brian
pretty much coming out and saying that you're turning it here just so you can get a decent finish.
There's no way that Brian
hooky.
To'o try was a try when he ran around the back and kicked.
Letter of the law.
No,
You got to
it wasn't
follow the letter of the law.
Yeah, I said that to you, Sully.
Yeah,
You can't run behind.
With
Can't run behind people. And I thought the game was over at half time. The Melbourne the first half was just sensational.
Yeah. Did you kind of feel like they switched off, and that's just why Penrith got...
Sully, did you notice? 2 things I thought in the second half. If Vunivalu puts that grubber down, it's well and truly dead.
Yeah.
And Brenko Lee on a 2-on-1, he hogged it. He tips that on to Vunivalu again. It's gone. It's dead. They've got 26-point margin still for long periods of it. And then when it sort of switched up a bit, my 3 best for the Storm, if I had to throw it up now, would have been Pappenhausen, Cameron Smith, and I thought Christian Welsh was massive.
Christian Welsh.
He's been good for a while.
Yeah.
Last month he's been real good.
Everyone chipped in. Everyone did their job. The job they did on Kickow, he was like the Loch Ness Monster the other night. That night, you hear a lot about him, but no one ever sees him. But they fended up well on him. Reminds me of another bloke who had to defend him once in a big game in Townsville. We'll talk about that.
The one that I
later.
put in his professional speech up about again.
It was a very good story.
They defended. Melbourne defended really well. Like even when Fisher Harris is front row of the year, he had pretty much no impact. Tamo had bugger all running meters. Liam Martin on that edge has been tearing sides apart. He played his role, but didn't do what everyone was expecting of him to do. So it's just Melbourne systematically just wearing you down and doing their thing. And it seemed like they were cruising the whole first half, and they just once they got to that point where they had that 20-point lead, that just coasted to the end.
Big locks. Sullivan.
Sullivan,
He had a great game. I thought he was dominant in the first half.
Yeah.
It was great.
And smart work. They brought Finucane off the bench. They went with that big pack early, grind him down. The cheese comes on. He always makes an impact, and he's going about 400 k's an hour. I think of him.
He's probably the most famous person in the NRL right now.
And
Have you seen him on social media?
He's also probably still going on the piss right now.
Yeah. I saw a thing that popped up today that says 7 days straight. Yeah.
They're in Byron. They were sitting on the hill watching the sunrise near the beach hotel up the top there.
There's a chick I know I met through a friend of ours, a dark fella who plays in our team.
So it's not Brent Cash.
No. Last name Fager, first name Liam. And,
Who could that be? What a mystery, Dad.
this chick I know, and I saw on a Snapchat. She was down in the Byron area, and she had a grand final ring on, and I was like, "What the fuck? No way!" And then she pans up, and she's sitting there drinking beers with the cheese. And this is only 2 days ago. I was like,
Really?
"Fuck, he's still going, still kicking it." Fuck.
He
And
went
then
on.
you see photos again today of the cheese just keep rolling over.
Matt
Who was
Chon-
it that came up with the cheese for his nickname?
I think it was Dean and Kemp on
Yeah.
Bloke in a Bar,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then he just liked it and called it a hectic cheese.
And,
And for all-
everyone jumped on.
For everyone who's wondering, a lot of people didn't know. You know, with the goggles and the cigars, it's an NBA takeoff.
Yeah.
When the Lakers won it, they just said Shandor Earl. He went the gutsy move of getting the shirts printed up and that, and they bought and ordering the goggles. Either or, you're just dumping them in the bin out the back,
Yeah.
really, if it's no
Yeah.
good. But
Pretty
I
much.
don't think it was really worrying him for cash, and they just took that whole NBA kind of feel. Would have been weird when they were drinking on the big deck up there with the
Yeah.
missus and the kids. There
Would have
was
been
one
very,
story
very weird.
they were saying that a Sofa Solomona picked up someone's kids when he was pissed, putting a kid in his shoulder, and the trainer was quickly to go, "Yeah, just put that little fella down."
Why
Mate,
Well, you're
think
about 10 foot up in the air.
Yeah.
It's a long way up.
Why are
there.
you thinking like where are they doing their lines and shit?
you know, like I didn't, mate. We're not that sort of show, but
That's
it would
the
have.
first thing I
but-
thought. I was like,
they're
where do
in-
you go?
They're in a hotel resort. There are plenty of places to sneak off and visit. I caught up with these blokes I knew once who were in a United States team. This was out in Western Sydney, and there were some interesting things for the people I was talking to in these hotel rooms. I'll say that it was a fun time.
Shout out to Mark Overdale.
Yeah, I met the USA hockey team actually, Christian. All right, yeah, but
But I also felt like it was like because they'd only played once before COVID. Hey, Melbourne and Penrith.
yeah, it was
they
early,
played
early,
that game.
very
It
early.
almost felt like two conferences coming together and playing
Yeah.
one, and
Oh.
one was way more advanced than the other, and we
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After I went and saw them beat Canberra the week before, I thought, fuck, they are on here. And they were totally different style of how when they beat Para 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And a mate of mine put up how he mad Penrith supporter, how he goes, Penrith, they get out to a lead, Melbourne can't chase a lead. And I said, they were down 12-0 against Para 2 weeks ago and won.
Yeah.
And won by 12, but found 36 points. And then against Melbourne, against the Raiders, I mean, they were so much more defensive oriented than they were. Their attack got them through the first week. They had the week off, come back, and everyone thought the Raiders, well, we all know, they got a fair record against the Storm. Then they just come straight out of the blocks and put that away by half time, basically.
Everyone's just doing their job, and blokes like Jerome Hughes played a massive role, just killing it.
How good's he?
Pappenhausen was unbelievable. Even blokes like Brenko Lee
Yeah.
did his job.
Did you? The big
Justin
Fijian
Olam,
winger, he played well in the semi-final series.
Vunivalu.
You
You know,
Vunivalu,
when you
yeah.
talk about...
And he's gone Reds, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you talk about set starters
Apparently,
and that,
he's
and then he's going. I thought
But
I
Reds
saw-
must be throwing cash.
Oh,
there
big,
for him
yeah.
to go to Reds.
That's why he's
Yeah,
going.
a
But
lot-
Yeah.
as soon as they won the grand final 3 days after, I read something in the paper saying he's sort of second guessing it. And I was like, of course he's second guessing it. He's on the coast with the cheese.
Yeah, but he said
he doesn't want to go anywhere.
he said that on the source, and
Yeah.
then 2 days later, the Reds had how he's committed to him.
Yeah.
So because he grew up playing
Yeah.
rugby in Fiji and then went to New Zealand, and they want some strike. Gee, it'd be a shit fight if he did turn around, because they'd be knowing they've got him locked in.
Yeah.
And Thorne was talking on the radio saying how
Yeah.
when they secured his signature, what a big thing it was. And I caught like he's coming, one of the elite wingers in rugby league, much like when Lottie and Sailor
Wendell.
went.
Yeah.
Korobidi. He
Yeah,
went over and
you
he's
get-
killing it.
You went back and but look at him. Korobiti's good, but he's nowhere near Lottie or or Sailor. Look like Korobiti still sometimes seems he's picked the game up well, but sometimes he
Yeah.
seems dumb as dog shit.
Yeah.
Just
He
You
made
see
a
the
great
try
tackle
saver he
last
made
night.
last
Yeah, it was
night?
fantastic.
Unbelievable.
he
Tackle
does
in the
everything
corner.
at 200 k's an hour.
Yeah.
He scores some tries for him too. It's just
Yeah.
that we are that many light years behind them. Just you look at them when how they find they'll bring a bloke in like what's his name?
The refugee
Young
that sung
Cal-
the anthem. Because he was the highlight
You
for
know,
Australia.
He was
That was-
good, yeah.
He fucking killed it.
like young Caleb Clark. I hadn't heard of
Yeah.
him, but all the Kiwi people
Yeah,
I speak to,
he's
they
very
knew he was a
handy.
gun. He's 19 years old, and he is this wrecking ball, new Jonah type creature, a lot smaller.
He looks like a clone of Moses Sully, but like freakishly athletic and fast.
And it's like this guy wasn't. He
Unbelievable.
wouldn't if they hadn't have drawn that first game. He might only been getting, a bit of a run off the bench here and there. Like, but he gets that. He gets the next Bledisloe, kills it, and he's rubber stamp for donkeys.
Yeah, well, he makes.
We haven't got that depth.
His second Test match is an All Black, and he makes 12 tackle breaks and runs for like 130 metres or something. It's ridiculous.
And throwing in subpar blokes, you've seen it. And we've never had to worry about that with rugby league because the Kangaroos were so dominant for so long. And then when we started losing some tests, most people think, oh, well, it was bound to happen. But there were others that were blowing up about it. You've always got to bring these. We've always got the talent base. We're like, in our sport, like the All Blacks. Like you're just dominating everyone. Eventually people will catch up with you. But the gap between last time we won the Bledisloe, I think that 2003 or something they said.
18 years ago.
Holy
Really?
shit.
The last time I watched rugby was like John Eales was playing. Like we had Eales, Latham, Larkham.
Scored plenty of tries. Yeah. Just watching, I went to the old club rugby grand final today. The thing with them is at that grassroots or lower level, they at least try to score points.
Yeah.
They attack and they'll set up. I've noticed that the rugby people, they've been doing this for a while. They use a lot of block shapes or mini block shapes, kind of like jockey lead type plays and that, which I find funny when the guy's only 5 metres in front of you. At the right time, that'll open it right up, but they kind of they love that around the maul and that. At least they were trying to score tries. One thing with the All Blacks, they're trying to beat you by scoring more tries than you do. Not going, we'll get into a situation where we'll kick 5 penalties and you'll kick 3.
The one thing I like about club rugby, like as you said, you went to the local rugby final today. What they do is they get a club and they play every week. That club will verse the other club in all grades.
Yeah.
So it's like if UQ are going to go to Brothers this week,
yeah.
it'll be sixth grade all the way up to Prem grade play.
Yeah.
So then the whole day, every week is a massive weekend. So like you've got the whole of the UQ supporter base comes over and it's like an actual rivalry for the week. And there's a massive crowd there because everyone's there.
So that's like TRL, isn't it?
We've talked about this at school before.
Yeah.
In the country, that's the way football's played. You go, you got the 18s, the reserves, the C grade, the A grade, all in one go. Everyone goes in a big group, watches. You're there for the whole day. You're in the hill after your game.
You can get blokes sitting the bench, like they'll give kids, young fellas a run in
Because what's your closest game for you guys?
In Warwick.
Yeah. We play Waddles, and that'd be in Clifton. It's about 40 k's.
And then what's your furthest?
Dolby.
Yeah.
That'd be
Dolby.
a high K.
Yeah.
Dolby, holy mook.
So
that's a fair high K.
Couple of hours. So
Yeah.
Gundy,
How
Dolby.
Gundy, how is it to Gundy? Congratulations to the Gundawindi Boars with a new coach.
Yeah, I saw that during the week.
And Travis Waddell.
Yeah, that
so,
could be interesting.
You've waved goodbye to the future USA Hawks / Tomahawks coach, which that should happen quite quickly.
Coach Offerdale.
Yeah, Coach Mark Offerdale, who has told me when we had a beer in up there in Gundy that he would not be playing for the USA ever again, and comes out in an article now says he's back in.
Back in what though?
He was retired.
Oh, okay.
But funnily enough, there were no games on, hence his retirement. So, it's like quitting your job while you're on holidays, and then you change your mind a week later and go, "Oh yeah, what time we starting? Monday, I'm back now." You don't hire no one else. I'm there. There was a thing, and you get some. How far is that? How far is Gundy from Moree?
A couple of hours.
Yeah, and what group are they in, Moree?
I'm not sure.
So you get a lot of
boomerangs there. I don't know.
I saw a lot of because remember Ewan McGrady?
Yeah.
He was there, and one of his boys was playing in Offerdale's team. He was still a good footballer, even though Offerdale coached him, which I was surprised at. The big centre who was doing a bit of a job on it, and he was there. And
did job with Dano, didn't he? Or?
No one did a job with me that day. I fucking
weren't you
dominated.
fullback?
Absolutely fucking full.
Weren't you fullback?
That was the only game you played.
I played 2 in that one day, coward. Calm down. Fucking hell, where
so
were you?
did I, cunt. I played 2 as well.
You played 30 seconds in the first game. I played 2 full games, you dog.
I saw him playing in the second. He should have been hooked after 30 seconds. We didn't have enough blokes.
Probably miscoached. Sal, is Warwick throwing around some money this year? Do you know? Or?
They always.
No, I'm not sure. well, there's nothing's happened out there this year with
Yeah.
TRL just disbanded.
That
more or less.
went early in the piece too.
Yeah, a couple of boys from Warwick played rugby for the Warwick Water Rats.
That's a cool name, isn't it? The Water Rats.
They played C grade or B grade rugby in Toowoomba, which is worse than what we saw on TV last night. But
Fuck, it couldn't be much worse, surely.
That sets a standard last night, yeah.
But I'm not sure about next year. But no, there's a couple of really strong clubs out there. Valley's a really strong club in the Toowoomba Comp, and they played in that Ipswich volunteer league or whatever they called it this year.
Yeah, and Goodna won that, eh? Goodna are always stacked and giants, massive beast. And they've got blokes who can play, who you haven't heard of, but they might have played, say, Colts at the Jets, then decided, hey, I can get paid more playing for Goodna and only train twice a week, then go to 3 times a week, have to give up me Sunday every Sunday, and this and that.
Who's got all the money in Ipswich? Is it Brothers?
Brothers Cash. Their league club is better than East. East
Tigers.
Yeah, it was size wise, man. It was bomb. I hadn't been out there for over fucking 10 years, but they had big plasmas up in the foyer, and they'd have the what do you call it? They'd have the tables, the competition tables flashed up. All this, they had that many. Their fucking sports bar was mint. Fucking, it was
So
huge.
it's better than the FGT, or
Only slightly. FGT, when 2008, no, it hadn't gone totally shithouse by then. Yeah, I didn't hate on it like I do now, but I couldn't get over how this, and I thought, fuck, they must have more money than God. Like, big pokey den, things like that. Like fucking, and they're sponsoring heaps of sport, and they were the first club to bail out of that, Sully, like out of that Volunteers Cup. They pulled out straight away. I thought for sure they'll put a good side in.
They probably realised you don't stay rich by spending money and not pulling anything in. Like if the season's gonna be dog shit, you may as well just scrap it straight away rather than try and feed some money into it in the hope that you'll get some back.
They have plenty of. There's how much cash they got. They got Josh Afoa from West to go there. Just go out there.
Did you watch any of those games, those Volunteer Cup games?
Yeah, I watched a few on the streams and that. They had some good standout. I've seen Goodna lost one game, and they must have rested a few blokes because they put on some ass kicking. They played and who'd they play? East Tiger. Was it North Tigers?
North, yeah.
Yeah, which was a bit of a surprise because they won in an upset and then they flogged them in the grand final. Goodna. Mitchie had to play them one year. I wasn't playing. I was playing at Fernie. They played in a trial. They went out there. Mitchie just took the one side and a couple of extras. They played like a mixture of first grade, reserve grade, and half time had fresh blokes coming on at half time, and you're just going out there thinking, oh, you're only playing a trial and you're getting the absolute piss punched out of you. Fucking just blokes getting season ending injuries, shit like that.
That's almost what happened at Gundy. We took one side and a couple of extras and then played 2 games against reserve grade and A grade. It was just a setup.
And that's what Offerdale always goes. His last game was just cranking us.
Well, it won't be now. He's going to play. He said that. I read in a nice article on him. He's going to play.
He's just lucky he moved back to New York, to the big smoke, Got out of Gundy. And he doesn't have to come here next year and cop a hiding when he comes to Frankie Lynn's, bro.
Yeah, no.
That's right.
That's how we set up, Sully. So they're meant to be coming in to play us.
Oh, yeah.
But then Offerdale bailed because he didn't want to get a flogging.
But also, we won't have 10,000 flies in your face the whole time.
It was hideous.
Oh, it was gross.
Hot and fucking disgusting. Where I have a better plan where I tee up, we go and play Byron's reserve grade and then go out in the sauce in the town of Byron that night, which would be a lot better than going to fucking Gundy.
Well, I got Roddy's idea.
Yeah, I'm going.
You can come. Yeah. We need people to come along just to be around, mate. Come on.
That's your signing bonus for getting your management ship.
Even if we can't get a game, we just go to Byron for the night. Yeah. We all have a bit of a bonding for the night, come back next day. Go, how's the footy? You mean, oh, fuck, I knew I forgot to organise something. All right, just meet up there at the Beach Road Hotel and we'll work out a plan. The plan would be you just drink.
You're on the back of a coaster, you're just taking notes.
Did something come out today that was like Cameron Smith was also carrying an injury in that game?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Broken rib, apparently.
He was getting that needled up. His shoulder was
the shoulder from that game up the coast against the Knights 6 weeks ago. And then he had the week or two off with the shoulder. So I was saying that was still giving him grief too. But after every big game, there's always a bit more bloody sugar to add to the
he doesn't need much sugar, that bloke. He's fucking sensational.
They just like blowing shit up, and the media will if there's nothing going today, they'll make something up and put it in there.
Always got to find something.
Oh, they'll dig up
or
something from fucking whenever just to.
When
put a
COVID was
story out.
on, and they still had like Fox Sports shows, like fuck me, things that they were interviewing or dabbling with stories, and you're going, geez, it got fucking.
That's
shit
probably
house.
when Sully's talking about going back and listening to some of our shit when we had no footy on.
Oh, man, it was painful.
I'm a very loyal podcaster here. I like to listen. I
There
found
you
out some
go.
very interesting stuff at the start of when the podcast started. I found out that his second team's the Sharks.
I don't mind the Sharks. I just don't mind them because they were tough and gritty.
Yeah.
And I've been to a couple of their games out there at Cronulla. I used to go to Sydney a couple of times a year, but I'm always staying in the eastern suburbs, so it's too much of a fuck around to go. But the couple of times I've been out there, I've really enjoyed it. And I went out there, got on the piss the day before they won it, and then we went to the Leagues Club, and the first bloke I see walking out the door is Mick Innes. And he goes, "How you going, boys?" I said, "Good, mate. Good luck for tomorrow." And he goes, "Thanks, mate." And he's gone because you had to renew they had this massive line. You had to renew your Leagues Club membership. You couldn't do it on grand final day. So we rolled up, and it was like 5:30 in the afternoon. I'm going, how are we going to get a beer in here? Then somebody comes out and goes, Leagues Club membership on the right. If you're just going into the bar on the left, yep, we're on the left, champion.
Fucking hell, 48 hours later, Ennis would have been in the state.
yeah.
You wouldn't have been
Oh,
talking
well,
to no one.
that's
And
how I
I
know
was
you're not a
thinking-
real Queenslander, right? I would have flogged the fuck out of him if I saw him. He would have been on the ground, fucking bleeding from the nose.
Okay, Tontine.
He was a valuable servant of the Broncos.
He was for a good game. I loved him then.
That's where
Yeah.
He was
found
good
his
then, but
mojo.
as soon as he left,
Well,
fuck
look at
that
that. Look at that. They lost him and Hannett, who just were playing real good football, both to the Bulldogs. And that
Yeah.
started the Bulldogs sort of revival after SBW fucked off. Things like that. Did you
Jeez,
see?
they've fallen in the hole, the old Bulldogs.
And in
I
that,
think they're on the up and up, but they couldn't get any
if
worse,
they-
I suppose. But
did you
like,
see they're offering that Burton, the young backup half,
like
500
grand
a year? You'd be an absolute. It'd be hard to brush that because you've
Yeah.
got to be realistic. Someone goes, "Oh yeah, but you're at a good club." Yeah, but two of your good mates are the halves, and they're in the Blues squad.
Yeah.
You're not. You're just going to be the third string half, maybe the
Yeah.
14.
Yeah,
Do
you're
you
not
wa-
getting a run, are you?
No.
Yeah, you've got to
not a
say,
chance.
and for 500 grand, even if you play 3 years of footy at that, then you can go back to making 200 grand a year, or fucking never play first grade again at a high or any high level.
You got to
football.
look at your
You're set up.
opportunities too to play first grade. Like even as you're saying, you're going to be third. You're going to be third string and maybe 14. But then when you look at the side, they got a lot of utility value. So it's a good chance you don't see the side for a long time. Like obviously barring injury. Whereas someone offers you 500k, you walk into the six jumper, you play week in week out.
I like that Lewis that plays for Canterbury, but
Lachlan Lewis, yeah. I think he'll probably fall by the wayside now with Barrett
He's a
coming
good.
in.
He's a
and
real
they
good
just signed.
defender. I'm a bit surprised
Yeah.
they haven't tried him as a dummy half,
Yeah.
like a 14 dummy half.
But they got.
he
they
might
did-
grow into a 13 if he gets.
yeah, he's not
fills
small.
Who were they saying that's looking at picking up the Roosters?
Yeah,
5'8"?
that's Cole Flanagan.
Ah,
He's-
yeah.
that's
And
actually
Bulldogs.
done.
Bulldogs signed him.
Yeah.
And
he's
so
done.
him and this Burton would be the 6 and 7.
Broncos, I would have fucking grabbed him.
Yeah,
I rated him,
congrats,
eh?
something.
Haven't
Yeah,
heard
he's
anything from
handy.
the Broncos from their review they were doing the other day.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Nah, it's funny too
It's all
because
behind closed doors.
as Gerard was saying, he was saying that last week about all hush hush. But there's going to be blokes who they'll be due back. Well, we're in November now. They'll be due back at the end of this month. You know, so we've got that and other clubs back in December, like those that didn't make the top 8. And you got to think that there's going to be blokes. You'd have to have a fair idea, like Sean O'Sullivan. He injury and that he didn't really get a chance to show what he can do.
Yeah.
They'll move I reckon they'll move him on. Just there's going to be some blokes he's not going to be able to move on for what lack of depth in the area. Isaac Luke, you'd give him another year because he's cheap and you don't really have a backup to fucking.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's if
To
McCulloch
Turpin.
doesn't come back. I think McCulloch will be back because Jaden Brayley will be healthy.
Yeah.
and McCulloch's still
'Cause
on the payroll by the Bronx. so-
McCulloch was a lend, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was.
Yeah.
It was like a year lend thing.
So,
So, he'll
they've
be
got to
back.
pay him anyway.
One of those
They gotta-
great decisions
yeah.
Seabolt did.
They got to pay him anyway, and he's still contracted to the club for one more year. So the hooker situation's a bit up in the air because you got Maka who was killing it at Knights before he got injured, but Turpin's injury prone obviously because he's only young in his career. And last year he played like 3 or 4 games and was just 6-week injury after 6-week injury.
You
He
can't.
wasn't a hooker to start with, but was he?
Turpin was it?
Yeah, I think
And they
he
made
was a
him a
hooker.
half.
Then they put
made
him
him
to
a
half.
half.
Yeah,
He was
because we didn't have
He was
anyone
at
else.
Melbourne. He was in that Melbourne system. Came through the 20s there.
But the good thing about him at half is he looks to run before passing,
Yeah.
and that's what holds teams back. And he was like last year. That's what he was doing.
He was just a bit keen on his edge defense. Like
He jumps.
being a hooker, he just likes getting up.
He
and
wouldn't
hitting.
take people with him.
So he jumps
Yeah.
and like gets out of the line or shoots in a bit and tries to put a whack on the back rower when it's going out the back.
Yeah.
And also when he's got the ball, he loves to run. But when he does decide to pass to that edge, like obviously he's got a good passing game as a hooker, but his pass selection's a bit shoddy. So he could be made into a half, obviously, with a bit more time and a bit more patience with him and some coaching. But him as a hooker is probably the best option. But then you got other hookers there as well, so it's up in the air.
And it's what you'd love to have an idea what Kevin Walters is thinking. Like a lot of these new coaches at places, like same with Peyton and that. I'd love to see how he looks like he's gonna tinker with that. He seemed like I saw an interview on their website, and he seems keen as moved back, feels he's at home. There'd have to be some blokes like that are like Opacek's moved on. He's gone to Para.
Yeah.
They've added
It's not a bad signing.
They've added a few fringe blokes in there that can do a good job for them when they need them. Joey Lussick, getting him back from Salford, things like that. Like Para also signed Cartwright, or they're about to.
Yeah.
And that'll be cheap as chips. That way, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you never know. You've got to have a gamble on it. If you're going to throw cheap money at a bloke, you've got to take a gamble, and you've got to hope they respond. And we all know what Cartwright can do, but we all know what he hasn't been doing.
Parramatta are in the situation now where they got to take the next step. Like they went from being spooners in 2015 to jumping towards the top of the table in just a couple of seasons, and they've been hovering now for two years or so around the top 4, or 3 years or so, sorry, around the top 4. So I think they need to either make that next step, because there's only so long you can hold that quality roster you got that's keeping you at the top.
So what do they need to
without
do?
going the next step. I don't know. I really don't.
I don't like Moses. I don't like the halfback.
No.
When they were winning,
He's a flat track bully if I've ever seen one.
When he first went there, when he come like that early season release from the Tigers, he was playing outstanding footy. And he is the epitome of the flat track bully. When they're on the roll, he's slaying it.
Yeah.
But he's not the sort of bloke to, if you're on the back foot a bit, make big plays to get
he's
you
not going
out
to dig
of that.
you out of trouble.
No.
And he's not going to dig you out of being down 12 at half time to come back and get a gritty win. If you're up 10 at half time, he'll bully him. You'll win by 30. But he's I don't know.
Jared Hayne. He's Jared Hayne.
He needs
Yeah, exactly.
and he needs to make for them to have any success. Dylan Brown needs to stay healthy. Gutherson needs to stay healthy.
I like
Madison, the good forward pack, the back line, the defense on that right edge, Wonga Blake and Ferguson. I don't know if they communicate or not, but they just gotta
Rocks and
talk.
diamonds, both of those.
They just got to talk. Like it just seems
Jennings
like they
is a
have
big
no
loss.
idea.
Jennings is a
what they're
big
doing.
loss if he ends up getting,
Has anything
as if
else
being-
come of that yet?
Nah, it's the same thing. That can take ages. Look at Seguiaro. Seguiaro's claiming like the shit with the blender to try and only get 2 years. That'll be if
And he
only-
also just loves drinking when he's driving.
Papua New Guinea. And what about the Hunters coming over here next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
here.
big. That's in that.
Base where?
I don't know.
So they just said somewhere in Queensland.
Queensland.
West Mitchie.
Like
Gotta
yeah,
be Cairns for sure.
No worries.
It's got to be towards
You
Cairns.
think up north, I'd say.
Yeah.
Maybe Cairns, I think.
Cairns or
Yeah.
Townsville.
That'd have to be it.
It'd have to be somewhere with the facility.
Maybe
It'd be
Mackay.
Cairns. Tully just got an upgrade to their stadium and that up there, so maybe because I don't know. So it's got to be
But-
somewhere up there.
And we're going off a normal season date next year, right? At the moment,
at the
they're
moment.
saying it's going to be
yeah.
normal
So-
season.
Fingers crossed too, because a lot of sides are going to come back into pre-seasons and stuff, and you'd hate for there to be delays and all sorts of stuff, pushing everyone's agendas off.
Wynnum
so
start in a week or something. A week or
really?
two. Yeah, they're
See,
into it.
Some of those Q Cup sides need to have a good look at themselves and say, well, we're not going to start playing footy till March, probably. So why are we getting everyone back, thrashing them early?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was Jamie Soward's theory. He said how down the track we're going to realise why we started training so early. We're a short, fat bloke who don't fucking tackle nobody.
Yeah,
You
Soward,
can-
one of the worst NRL players that's ever been.
But you got plenty
Worst
of skill.
defensive player.
Yeah, yeah. He played Origin.
One of the worst Origin players ever.
But like that's the thing. Like him on the back of that St George pack that year, he was good. They had good years, like 3 good years where they won one comp. Like his kicking game, and because he had such a good kicking game, he can stand deep as fuck.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get kick pressure on him and shit like that. All those type of things.
Well, his kicking game was good enough to get him fucking contract extensions, then sign with Penrith, and
Yeah.
and that didn't
it was-
work because they didn't have the pieces around him.
They didn't have a decent back rower to put next to him.
All
Definitely
good
doesn't help.
halves need the pieces, but you got to have options too. You need a ball playing fullback, and like Melbourne have done. Look what they've done to Pappenhausen and Hughes in 12 months. When they lost that prelim 12 months ago, like those two were limited in what they did. And I said on the show, at the time that Croft is a better halfback than Hughes, but Hughes was a better footballer. Now they've gone and turned him into a better halfback, an all-round halfback and footballer, like sort of thing.
Where's Croft now? What's
He's with the
Still the
Bronx.
Bronx.
No, but is he injured or is he hurt? Or
Maybe he just wasn't getting picked.
He was getting.
Yeah, I
she's
think
just getting
he'll be
brushed
playing
towards the end.
twos for us next
You
year.
know, Sully, you know how they have those personal coaching things?
Yeah.
He messaged Freedy, and Freedy's going to sting him $50 an hour to fine tune his skills, show him a few.
I
know,
just-
few
Mate, I reckon you
videos
could go
of-
$1 a minute.
Oh,
You should up your price.
I
please.
felt Croft and this is coming from a player that's not as good as Croft, obviously, but I found he shot to get himself out of the situation a lot in defence.
I
Like
was-
he
But
would
in
do the
saying that,
shoot to
the
get
whole
yourself
Bronco-
out.
That whole
I was
Broncos
surprised with
side
them,
last
yeah.
year was looking for ways to get
Yeah.
out of the problem.
And
So-
there was talk that was one of the things that they got the hierarchy got Shirty on Seabolt for, because they didn't do a lot of defence. And they said, they thought a guy coming originally from Melbourne system, you saw your defence is your main backbone of everything you do. And after a couple of towelings, they got, oh, fuck, that's unusual. And I kept thinking, surely they're not going to go that bad. They've still got a lot of good players in there. And I kept saying, they'll turn this around and they'll start winning irregularly.
Everyone said
I
that
said
every week.
they might scrape in the 8. And I kept thinking, like things like too, like with when the home invader was still had that fuck knee, you miss him because like one thing with the home invader, he is a grub and he will give away shithouse penalty. But when he's playing good, he's got a bit of ball playing in him. He come back early, which turned out to be the worst thing for him. He kept
Because
aggravating
he couldn't
injury.
move sideways at all as well.
And
And
then-
behind the ruck, he was just fucking useless. He was a spot behind the ruck.
I don't know why didn't you say, mate, give yourself another few weeks because that's
Yeah, it's
when
not.
a
It's
strong
the only,
coach has.
and the only thing we weren't lacking was middle forwards at the time.
Yeah. You'd
Our whole pack was still healthy then.
honestly, you'd throw Pangai Jr. in the middle
Yeah.
just to bring his punishment
And
because
then
like
throw Flegler in at lock or what? Like you got options. You got plenty of options. Instead of bringing Matt Lodge back
early
from
that
from
pooned
an
him for the
ACL
season.
strain.
Yeah, and people, I put that up like, and you always hear this innuendo and speculation saying that he was disruptive or some shit at training or questioned the coach and all this stuff. And I said, okay.
The coach was a wanker.
And I said, all right, if this is the case, and I put that on our page, how come you knew the sort of bloke he was? How come these dramas weren't brought to light before? When Uncle Wayne was there and that, he didn't have no dramas before. When they had a half decent year and made the 8 the year before, these dramas weren't there. Like it's like you're looking for an excuse to get rid of a bloke because when you play a year busted and you're not as productive, it's like we've got to find a way to get rid of this bloke.
They were talking about him being captain, weren't they? At one stage.
That's ludicrous. See, look at that. And that's gone from, geez, we need to get rid of this bloke, or the game's gone past him. The thing with, people say the game's gone past you. You can fix that in a preseason, get blokes into nick. There'll be a lot of different stuff, like people doing a lot of your type shit. Not the peptides, I mean, but I mean the other stuff.
The weights and stuff.
Yeah,
The
with the
CrossFit.
Wait,
cardio.
but it's also as Broncos supporters, we're very spoiled. And I think that's what comes
They-
into it as well. We're
they have
spoiled
one
in
bad
where you
year
think
every 10 years.
We're always expected to be around that 8. And we haven't. We had a shitty ass year, and everyone's
and the
fucking...
two of their wins came the first 2 weeks before the COVID shut down.
And the third one was against the Dogs, so it really means
And I
fucking
kept
nothing.
thinking, surely they're not going this bad. And then, who was it? Laney said to me once when we were having a beer, he goes, have you seen a team as bad as the Broncos? I go, what, you mean for the roster? And he goes, yeah. And I went, fuck, man. I said, I can remember when it first became the NRL, remember, Sully, the old West Magpies when Tommy was coaching?
Yeah.
And they had fair dinkum, all these young kids who were either reserve graders or 19s playing first grade, and a couple of older blokes, and they got they might have won 2 games in the season too. And I can't understand how the Broncos ended up like that, but it comes down to it. There must have been dudes not wanting to say anything, but they were hating on the joint.
But like
Kevy,
the roster itself, the players themselves, if you go through them individually, there's some star players.
That's
there.
why everyone was so fucking dumbfounded that every week we ended up in a hole. And every week you'd sort of look at it and you'd like, oh, fuck.
This
here
is
we go.
next week coming.
Oh, yeah, we'll be right. We'll come good here. This is a start. Get a win here and we can get something going.
Yeah.
And then every week you fucking sitting there and the fucking
And then,
Friday night on your
and then
couch
when you're
going,
getting a
useless
few,
cunt.
you start getting a few injury to the good players, and then you're just going, the fucking hole's digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're just thinking, what the fuck? And then speculation with the coaching. You hear that a lot, and some of it just becomes a media beat up. But then the drums are beating louder and louder and all that stuff.
It's like being in quicksand, I reckon. The more you try and do right, the harder you try, the quicker you sink, the further you're going down. And that was sort of what I saw with the Bronx last year, is they weren't really trying for me at the start, but once they started putting in effort, there's a few games there, they came out gun blazing, trying their heart out, everyone's trying their fucking stones off, but then they're trying too hard, making stupid errors like rushing in on defenders and just being too keen, trying to make up for shit.
The Raiders game down there, and I think they led by a couple of points at half time, were playing solid, looked like they were sticking to the game plan. Then in the first 10 minutes of the second half,
got blown away.
a couple of tries, and it was like, you're like in confidence.
Yeah, they remind me of like a Manly team 80% of the time. You know,
what a fucking idiot, motherfucker! All right, just put your hand up to help your adopted nation. Tell them you've moved to fucking the US and you'll become the USA Hawks coach. You and Mark Offerdale. Everyone wants that. Lead them out of the fucking doldrums. You qualified for the World Cup
Let's not
semis
talk about Manly, eh?
2013.
Yeah, it's touching.
2013 World Cup quarterfinals. That was your riding high. 4 years later, we're gonna blood some blokes. Blood some blokes. Fuck me dead. No one's ever heard of half them blokes since then. It was like what they get. You got a flight back to Australia. They got a flight to the fucking Bermuda Triangle. Fucking hell.
Did anyone hear on the news tonight the new New South Wales anthem?
That.
what they're going to do in the State of Origin
It's
or
like
something.
a rhyming thing, almost like a Rupert McCall poem, almost.
Yeah.
It's on.
Except worse.
Yeah, it's on the shithouse. Yeah. You know, if you can memorise that before fucking Wednesday night, you obviously shouldn't be playing footy. You're obviously quite an intelligent human being with a photographic memory.
I think with the anthem and stuff, I don't mind if they did just do thank you to country. What's it called?
Welcome
to country,
and
and then do the
that.
anthem, and then just do both of them every time.
We're in a tough spot with this, and I've said this because I don't honestly know anyone who I'm mates with who I would say is a full racist and hates other cultures within us.
Because it's different with the union because it's white. Our team, Australia, is white guys and New Zealanders.
And the only
the Australian team, you know?
You think of it, the only Indigenous lad has been Kurtley Beale.
Yeah.
And there's even been mentioned that they should be tapping into some of these Koori kids to inspire them, or Murray kids to be the next Kurtley Beale. With rugby league, because we're a working class game, and we're affected more so by the changes, things like anthem and shit like that, where the union, if they were to brush it, it's not really a big deal. But for us being a working class game, when they talked about it, ScoMo gets on the blower to the big boss, Pete Volandis, to go, oh no, you can't do that. But if people don't want to sing the anthem, that's their business. But
just don't
bring that up. And I would not have a drama like in the NFL, Sully and that, when those boys kneeled. If they felt there was an atrocity, because there was some fucking atrocious shit going on, you have every right. You're not saying you don't love the country, but you're not loving what's happening to your culture. everyone has the right to do what they want. I thought Cody Walker, when he got picked in that Origin last year, he made the mistake of saying it at one of his press conferences.
Before he even stepped out in the field.
So that became a turning point. Where after the game, if you played the game, you didn't sing, and then you played the game and played well, and they asked you, you can voice a bit more. But then when he had not a horrible game, but an up and down game, did some good things, did some things where he struggled. That that kind of gets linked up, or was that on his mind, and where it wouldn't have been, but they look for things to kick you in the nuts about, like things like that, and this is the thing with Australia, and we've said sorry for some of the atrocities. People, and I know a lot of people who think Australia Day, they should change the date, and me personally, I wouldn't mind, because I've got I'm white, but I've got a lot of mixed breed cousins from fucking different places, Indigenous, Italians, all over the show. But I do know a lot of people who are against, who have said, no, they don't think we should. But everyone has the right to say that. They make up reasons why they can't change it. Well, they changed the Queen's birthday weekend. Did anything happen to the fucking Queen? She didn't change her birthday. They can do that. But whatever they've got to do, they have to get on board and do it and move on with it, not keep the speculation forever.
That's what they want.
My personal
that's
thoughts.
What the whole world wants, is just a clear-cut decision. Like they say, oh, we won't have the anthem this year at State of Origin, and then 20 minutes later say, oh, no, we'll have the anthem.
And if you do it, better or worse, it's like a referee's decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Back your decision.
Exactly.
There's only a couple of words in the anthem that they want changed. I don't know why we can't change it.
Yeah, that's it. Because if you got one party that's happy, one party that's not happy, and changing a date makes both parties kind of happy, just fucking do it.
And I'm sure everybody in this room has mates that are fucking aren't white. And things like that.
But
I worried about you, Ku Klux Klan, but you've proved me wrong. You do know the Brown Boys.
But
by Ku Klux Klan, I say Christian.
If you go our anthem compared to other nations, our anthem sucks, man. Like
those
to
full
sing, like
cultural, deep history countries.
If they wanted to change it and get something we can really fucking get into, I just don't think our anthem is a good sing along.
Even the Kiwis.
I love the Kiwi anthem.
They break into that, and their people are
sweet.
almost breaking into tears, singing that. How did you feel as no, this is not an insult. This is a serious question. Right. You as half Aussie, half American, when you were singing the Star Spangled Banner. I know in the beginning might have been your dad was in your life until you were playing, so you were deep invested in the culture too, and a lot of your aunties and cousins and that live in the US, so you were very aware of. A lot of people don't know the second verse of the Australian national anthem, and they'll deny that. And that's sort of how we're brought up. How were you? Was it strange when you first started playing for the USA Hawks, singing the national anthem? Oh, the Tomahawks, and it should go back to that. Offerdale made a point about this. Was it strange singing that in the beginning, because you wouldn't have had to growing up too much?
No, it wasn't that, because my dad kept it pretty half and half around the house, so he made sure that we would grow, me and my sister were growing up with the knowledge of that we're half American, and even though our cultures are we kind of follow America a bit over here, but
I've said that to people and they blow up. I said we're kind of like them on a lesser, more mellow scale in some ways.
So I legit knew the anthem before we started singing, but Jono did a good thing of what we did when we first got into 2013 camp is on the bus rides and stuff. He always chose someone to start the anthem off, and we all had to sing it. So by the end of that tour, everyone legit knew the anthem. Yeah.
Well, if we did that at West Mitchie, we got half-wits who couldn't sing the fucking team song, let alone know both verses to our fucking national anthem, or let alone throw. They could probably, there'd be some people that could throw up a different country's national anthem. A lot of people that play at West Mitchie don't know where some of these countries are.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But that's a good thing, though, sort of bonding thing.
Yeah.
And be accepting into people's cultures and shit that.
It's so funny because with the last verse of the US anthem, it really for the land of the free and the home of the brave. And so Peterson used to go, wait, let's just, even if we mumble the first, let's just fucking bring it home hard, because everyone's going to know those last things. And when Peterson got asked to do it on the bus, he was like, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to sort the first couple of paragraphs out, just bring it straight home.
And he knew, like, what was Matt Peterson's USA connection? What were his parents, grandparents?
I think with Peterson, it's his grandparents.
Yep.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those sort of things.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, like, we have that trouble in Australia because, in a way, we try and appease everybody.
Yeah.
You're not going to appease if you really want to appease everybody, sort something, find common ground, get representatives of lots of cultures, sit them down, sort it out, and go, right, this is how we're going. Not go, all right, this week we're not doing that. Okay, next week we're going to do that. You know, like,
Yeah.
and we live in politically correct times, and some of it way fucking overboard.
I saw during, they've announced the coaching staff at West Brisbane. Have Mitch, you've announced their coaches?
Yeah.
We haven't done ours.
No, not yet.
It hasn't even.
Yeah.
been
It was an
right up.
it was an interesting.
Oh, was it
thing.
interesting those?
Well, they don't really have any big names in there,
No.
and they've gone in house with a couple of
I
blokes.
saw
Yeah.
one they said film review guy.
Yeah, that's
well,
the
that was
one of
Zach
their.
last year. So
Job?
there's another one.
my god!
That's
it's like
Dano, you might be able to correct me
it's
on this.
like
Top of the
shower towel handouter.
That's
You know,
me.
like
I'd do that for sure.
That's the is that the son of the was it Goffey? Is that his son?
Yeah.
I assume it was like that. And they've gone a lot of like low key coaching a post, unlike other years.
Reserve
other
grade
posts.
coach Mike, he's been there for a long time.
Yeah,
He's been
doing
sort of
assistant work.
assistant work around there, and they put Jared McCullum, the half.
He's
from-
going to play a coach.
the half
Yeah, that
from
was,
this
that was
season.
interesting.
Haven't
He's
seen
gone
one.
Oh, yeah.
he's
Haven't
gone
seen
into
one of
the
them in the big
coaching.
city for a while.
yeah.
He's gone into the coaching role, and he will still be playing as well. So
Yeah.
we good. Just a few blokes. I think.
They've got a 20s. They're hoping to have a 20s if there's a 20s comp.
And 18s too, isn't it?
Yeah.
18s
And
coached by Steve Pollard.
Pollard will put
I'm
his hand
not
up
sure how that's going to work. Like, there's going to be some hard things in that. Whether
18s would have to shoot for Never Blair, obviously, and try and have a.
yeah,
Never
that'd
Blair
have to
side.
be if you were affiliated. That'd be things. So you'd want to be getting kids who are playing.
Well, I
in
think
the
they've seen.
A-comp.
I think they've seen the Mitchie 16s this year were very handy, and there's a few handy kids in our 17 side this year as well. So I
Yeah.
think they're probably
But
looking at.
They got to look
coaching
at having
going
that
forward.
pathway again with
Yeah.
Colts.
And
And
we need a
Exactly.
genuine pathway, and we
Yeah.
need to be doing things like that, like coaching, development thing, and they need to have some sort of minor development squad, not like, say, a Redlands that have under 9s development squads and under 10s, which is the biggest jerk of penis I've heard for a long time. Like, why the fucker? Why don't we just go, let's practice double block shapes forever? Okay, teach kids the skills. And then you can learn all that later on. Play eyes up footy, and then you can incorporate playing shape footy later on. But like, I really think that there's overkill having like development squads from these early ages, and it gives people false senses of security when you've got all these people pissing in their pocket telling them that they're destined to play rugby league forever. And they're either one, going to get over it, or two, be heartbroken when it doesn't work out how they want. And some people can't handle that. You know,
I know on the show you're not real keen on Albany Creek, on the old Crushers, but I have a bit of a connection back there. And I see that during the week they won an award, a grassroots award. For,
did they?
Yeah, they won one of them.
with
which is good.
volunteers, or
Yeah,
I saw that.
it was a club.
Biggest
I
wankers award, I reckon. That's what I
Because what were you, Sully?
I was a president there for a while.
Oh,
Oh, were you?
Jesus.
Oh, well,
How long ago was that, Sully?
I 10 years ago, I
Oh,
suppose.
she's gone
Was,
downhill since then.
Because
mate.
there was a year that we fucking touched him up in a
Yeah.
fight, but
Freddie-
It was
Freddie
way
was-
before that. My son played there, so he's 21 now, but he started there in under sevens, and as you are, you go down, you coach a side, and then all of a sudden I was
They need someone to do something.
something else, and I ended up being.
and then you're president.
Then I was a coaching coordinator for a few years and doing stuff like that. And
Were
then,
they paying you any money to do that?
No, drinks.
Yeah, free piss. Yeah,
Free
that's always
piss, that's
good.
what
Yeah.
you get. And then the strengths were big people at the Crushers.
There's been some good young players come through there. The Riccardi brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both went
Bill
on and played
Britton.
great.
Callum Stewart.
Cal Stewart.
Just
Cal
a young,
Stewart.
a young phenom.
Yeah, Cal Stewart. They often call him
The shot doctor.
no, they call him
Was he-
the white wombat, as in like similar to the wombat, but the white version, like no racial implant. But as we all know, Soft Lips Cal is very white compared to Brandon Smith, who
And not
is
yet engaged
Kiwi.
Has he
either,
got
which
down? I
is
was just going to ask.
worrying.
Has he got down on the knee?
Okay.
No,
Not yet
Anybody-
engaged. I ran into him at Arana this morning, actually. He's feeling a bit sorry for
Ring
himself. He
ring
got on it
shopping,
last night.
ring
He,
shopping down there at the plaza.
Nah, he was actually getting a kebab trying to feed his
What
hungry
he got
hole,
on it
so-
last night?
Yeah, he was on it
MDMA.
heavy. Oh, who knows? He was out at the Sanford pub, just
Oh,
carrying on.
you know what they say about wild time there? If you're not in a paddy wagon leaving the Sanford, it hasn't been a good night, okay?
Fuck, I've been out there in ages.
No, it's
Yeah,
a
don't
good,
go.
good
It's
steakhouse.
no.
Good
Yeah.
steak. Good
No,
steaks.
no.
Yeah.
The bloke who owns the EH bought it, and it's gone all flash now.
Has
It's
it?
like $6.
Have you seen the
$50
people? Have
schooner.
you seen the actual real Sanford people? The dudes who walk in and
They
plug
look
us
like
that?
Righty's brothers, bro.
Holy
They're just
shit.
walking in and out.
Have they still got the little public bar out the side there?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, have they done anything to it, Dana?
Yeah, they're doing a bit of work out there. Like, since it's been bought, it's changing a little bit. I didn't know too much about it before.
Cal's a
because I-
Sanford local, isn't he?
Yeah, he lives at Hivo, lives out near Ivesy, so he's in there a
Yeah.
bit.
So,
But yeah, it's
so Sanford Stags. I know he's looking for a
Yeah.
coach. When you get a coach, if you need to get a local boy, loves the culture, be great for the club. Contact Soft Lips, Callum Stewart,
Yeah.
aka the White Wombat.
keep him away
and
from
he
Mitchy.
will
We
get
don't
you.
need any more missed tackles in semi-final.
What do you, are you still with your missus?
Oh, am I going to answer that? Or?
She
Oh,
didn't
wow.
hear the cheating comment last
Oh
week.
well,
No,
I was going to say.
no.
Is it? And that's her cheer
Yeah,
thing. Eh?
yeah, it's good. My boobs
Didn't
almost
see any
filled
white
out.
cum stains up the back of it.
No,
though.
there weren't. There was a few blood stains, but I got them out before I came.
Oh, well.
That was from her nose because I punched her in the face.
Well, this
Hey,
guy.
no,
All right,
we
there's
don't endorse that. No,
there's
no.
our first edit of ever.
Yeah,
You know,
quickly. to
You
edit
are.
that.
Ask. Don't
even
ask
after the
questions.
Milford comment,
Don't
that's
ask-
our first
Don't
edit.
ask
Yeah.
questions
You're
if
the
you don't
one.
want to fucking hear the answer.
So-
Right? It happens behind closed doors.
So,
Wait, what do you
um,
boys think about these squads?
Well, we've done as good as we can get with the Queenslanders. You've got to think that this is really we're massively underdogs, but you've got to blood some of these blokes to see if they're going to be there again in 7 months when they play the series again.
I like
Yeah.
our forward pack. I think
Yeah.
our forwards will match their forwards.
But yeah, forwards. I was a bit surprised with Arrow not
Yeah,
starting.
I thought
Yeah.
he'd get a start.
I
I
was-
was surprised with Hess. I didn't think he'd get a
Oh,
start.
oh,
surprised
see,
with
and-
Cohen-S.
This was talked about the other day that there may be some changes. The big one is they think that Gagai's going to go to the wing, Philip Sammy's going to drop out,
Yeah.
and they'll
Put
bring
Capewell.
in Capewell into that centre.
I
role.
think, yeah, that was the one I heard too, but I think Xavier Coates did his shoulder this afternoon.
And then there was another saying to be
potentially-
fine. Yeah, that could be
Yeah.
that could be a force change.
so yeah, it could be.
You'd
could be
imagine
Gagai to
even
Coates'
if
wing.
Hess is playing, you'd imagine Sewer will start because you need him to bring some aggression on that edge
Yeah.
because he's a pure hitter, that bloke. Like,
And Cohen Hess, I wouldn't have picked him in the squad, let alone play him.
it's
or
like they want a bit
starting.
more experience.
Yeah, so, but as again, I heard on the radio, they said he's a big body. He was in decent form at the end of last year.
He was
and-
fit
and
when he
he's-
came back from COVID. He was fit as fuck.
Yeah, and he's obviously, got a bit of Origin experience, so.
But the rest of
This
the
was a
forwards
good
there are
move.
all in form.
Yeah, that front row's good.
Front row,
Oh, yeah.
Walsh, Papali, Kafusi.
Yeah, Friend's
Yeah.
been playing well. You know, the controversy there
Yeah.
with Harry Grant, that's probably one. But you couldn't have had both in there
Nah.
No.
because they're basically going to be
Yeah.
covering middles.
And they're carbon copies of each other
Yeah,
almost.
and it's
so-
not a club game where
Yeah.
you can compensate with that sort of shit.
Freddie would have
I
cried
think,
if Hunt wasn't in there.
Big fan.
I think Wayne really likes
Yeah.
Friend just because he's tough and gritty and good defender, makes his tackles. So I think
kicking game 2 out of dummy half.
Yeah,
He's
Friend
played
was-
a
Friend
lot
was
of
always gonna
played a
be
lot
there.
of big games. He toured with the Aussies back in 2015, I think it was.
just
you
a bit of
know, like-
experience, around
Yeah.
that though.
That's what I was going to say about
Premiership.
Friend. Is it because they don't trust in Hunt's direction around the field?
I
Like
think-
he just come on and do his thing and then...
Hunt
See, no, I
tore
think
him
it-
up
I
when he
think it
came
would
off
have
the
been-
bench.
I think it
last
would
time.
have been more. They would have looked at it this year, saying we've got Friend, Harry Grant, and Hunt. I think they would have looked at it instantly and saying Ben Hunt's the 14 because he can come on and play hooker, but he can also cover your halves, and he's tough enough to go straight to lock if dire straits come along. So I think he would have been the 14 either way. But I think it was going to be a toss-up between Friend and Grant, and they would have just gone with a bit more experience, a bit more of a hard head, I think, instead of the young
and he played a couple more weeks in the finals this year. That it's a big thing. Like
a bit more match fitness maybe.
it's one of these
Bit
things.
fresher.
Like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of speculation there. Everyone's writing them off. Of course, they're going to be underdogs, But we're not. This is not the '80s when they picking
And
blokes.
what's
out
the
of
betting
bush.
line at the moment?
They're $3 something.
$3.
We got to get on that side.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
You got to have a
I'm
nose.
going the opposite to you. You're the worst punter in the world.
Yeah.
That is true.
Whatever you're going, I'm going the opposite.
You look at that side. There's a slight question mark on Brenko Lee because people defending in a Storm system with. Would you imagine he'll be on the same? They'll put him with Kafusi, so he's got that club connection.
Yeah.
And you'll have Tupou outside him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, if you're looking at that New South Wales side as a fan, you've got a raging hard on, yeah?
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know why.
Bring
there's
it up-
questions
bring it
on
up for it.
Tedesco.
Yeah,
Tupou, I'm not a real fan of his.
the bottom line is you dominate the middle, and that's the big thing. Like, Paulo's good. Safiti's good, but he's not the player they rate him to be, but he does a
definitely
solid
not.
job. But he's a good front rower.
Yeah.
Paulo brings a bit of ball playing too, which is a great option. You always know the back row is going to lift, and they've got Jokey T there at lock. Yeah, so you've got some edge footy.
The
Walker's going to
the
be the
Walker
danger
thing
man.
shows they're doing it. They're selecting for New South Wales. They're not selecting on form. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Because Walker would be 5'8".
Oh, it had to
Yeah.
be. Yeah. He would have edged Kiri, and
Yeah.
Kiri wasn't horrible in those 2 games, but he wasn't the form he was in, and he went a week longer, and he almost pulled it out for him against Penrith. Like, you look at that bench too. Crichton's been good.
Crichton's been
Cameron
very
Murray
good.
had Haas. You got
Haas
to.
is a worker.
Yeah, and he'll off the bench. He could really be.
See, I don't know why you
barnstorming beast.
wouldn't start Haas over Safidi. You could get 30 minutes out of Haas before Safidi had to come on, and then Safidi plays 10 before half time, 10 after. You get
And
20
then Haas
minutes
just
out of it,
continues.
and then like you could work it a lot better if you had your front row who can go longer. And Paulo's shown he can play bigger minutes these days, and Haas has shown every week he plays fucking 70,
So
80
he
minutes.
had Whiten at left side last year.
Yeah, there's still question marks over the centre pairing too.
The thing too, like Gutho's a good footballer, but he doesn't play centre a lot. There you've got it.
He hasn't played there for a long time.
The thing
And
is,
how fits Tedesco?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. But if there's any doubt, I'm sure like the form Gutherson's in, they'll just drop him straight in there. And then they'll just bring
he passed the fitness test
Yeah.
yesterday, so he'll be sweet.
they
I-
reckon he'll be sweet. But if there's any doubt, at least they got 24 hours before the game to make changes. So if he does pull up shithouse on Monday or Tuesday, then they'll just Gutherson will move up and they'll bring Lomax or Crichton or one of their other gun centres in it.
So
The key too is why does Origin Damien Cook look sensational,
Yeah.
and sometimes at club level he don't. Speed of the play, the balls, and the domination in the middle. Like Damien Cook was meant to be the guy designed to kill it.
Yeah,
in this
and
new
this
rule.
new footy.
And this is not his go. Like playing towards the end when they got in those roles, he was very good. That's where you got to shut him down because he'll just keep eating you up. He'll keep getting you 60 goes. They'll just keep rolling through. And with those ball players like Paulo, who he's like a post line passer, like that. Safidi would have the odd offload in him, things like that. Travojevic, they'll run a lot of shape stuff off Travojevic to one of the halves. You've got to have to slow them down. On fast play the ball, that's when you can test out Gutho and that on their side. But if you're going slow, it's not going to mean nothing. It's like doing double block shapes in a phone booth. You're not going to beat anybody. You've got
Jake
to.
Travojevic there at lock is handy. Like last year when he played for Australia, he was pretty much the link between the play the ball in both halves. Every single time the ball was played, he was catching the ball and he was delivering to the halves or he was making decisions. So he's probably one of the best ball playing forwards in the comp.
Yeah.
Like
When he's on, he's
streaks
one of
away.
the better players
And
in the comp.
his catch and pass and his pass selection and the quality of his passes are great. So having him there at lock just to be able to move the ball from either side of the
There
ruck.
wouldn't be.
How fit is he? He hasn't played footy for a long time.
Yeah.
Manly were out early, weren't
And
they?
they've been.
They're out real early.
Yeah.
And then yet no wooden spoon. How does that feel? Fuck
Oh, they've probably got 10 in the
10.
closet. But,
we got 0. Fuck it. No, we've been around a long time.
Tyson Frizzell. What about him? How?
They're going on past performance
Yeah.
to start him. If you're being fair dinks, you probably would have put Murray in
that's
there
that's
somewhere.
what I was like. They're bringing the origin factor, eh?
Yeah.
But that's where I'm like, and I'm a massive dick rider of him, but like when we're talking about
this could be many blokes.
when we're talking about oats,
oats.
yeah, like oats, I'd always have in an Origin side.
When we were talking about the
Moose,
Frizzell's brother
There's a
played
few
for the
questions.
Kiwis last night.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did, yeah,
He's pretty
he's
handy
a
too.
brother,
Shannon.
yeah.
So are they Kiwis or are they Australians? Or?
No, actually, funny story. He's part Welsh. He's part Tongan, and if you're Islander, that'll connect you with New Zealand
With
some
your
way.
yeah,
So
because
he's
I played him
half-brother.
in. I played him well in the
Wales,
Wales team.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I think I shot
that-
him.
Oh,
You are. That's all I just want to say.
Jesus.
Your stories that you put up really lift the spirits of people, mate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
I get so many
Righty,
messages.
100% puts those up. I've got nothing to do with them.
I couldn't do that. I'm not a wordsmith
But
like
sometimes
you.
I'm sitting, like, I'll bring up my phone when I'm sitting on the toilet doing a shit, and there's something pop up. I'm like, oh fuck, and it's just like Christian James says, and I'm like, oh fuck me.
Oh no, Christian.
And especially
Don't
that photo
pull
of me with the snake.
Well,
I was
stop,
like,
stop
fucking
posting
20.
shit
Yeah,
then,
man.
alright?
Don't
Yeah.
be modest, okay, mate. Just
Yeah.
accept it. You're like one of that. You're like a Dear Abby, advice columnist, made up name, Dear Christian. Oh no, don't call me Christian.
But
call
we-
me KJ. KJ.
All right, so Sully's actual coming on this show has brought up way more questions than we usually get,
There's a
so we've got to start
And they're
breaking
actually
these out.
I
genuinely-
saw that.
Yeah.
My phone
Rugby
kept
league
coming up with
questions.
notifications. And
All
I'm
right,
going,
so but
this is
real
the best.
quickly, what are your thoughts on Origin 1? What, do you reckon we get the job
Queensland.
done?
Yeah, get the job done.
I'd like to think we can win. People talking
Yeah.
about there's a bloke named Steve Howard who's been hacking on us, and like how is this even an NRL side? So I'm
Yeah.
hoping if they win, I'll be remembering.
I'll give
from
him. I'll
this.
give him every chance, and
Yeah.
it's Origin. And once you get in there, and especially now Wayne and Mal and the whole crew's there.
And you reckon if we
they
don't
can't get 'em
win,
up,
you just
yeah.
lay into your missus when you're drunk?
That's
Depends
a
how
big
many rubs I've
negative.
had, but yeah,
That's a big.
If it's any more than a
negative,
sip,
but
then yeah,
that's a
definitely.
Second
big
edit.
negative.
Second edit there for the show.
Yeah, that's a big negative.
I'm going to game
Negative.
3, and if it's not a decider, she's getting decided. Oh, fuck me dead.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
Dano, getting arrested
Oh.
after this. We
Coppers
so-
waiting at the front.
All
so-
right, we got our boy Dave Ellis. What's your thoughts on talk about when semi-finals come around? Either all 8 sides have a week off to give everyone a break, or have one week 5 versus 8, 6 versus 7, while top 4 have a break. Then 2 winning teams have week off when 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3.
No.
Okay, I read that today, and I read that briefly today.
Yeah.
Good on the guy for putting a bit of thought into it, but I'm thoroughly against it. The AFL
me
do
too.
it, and that's part of the culture they've got. Like
Yeah.
get everyone freshened up. We have different TV agreements and all that shit.
Yeah.
It might be good. See, you look at it with the Lions. Lions were killing it. Then they get a week off and get beat by Geelong, and then some
Yeah.
people
Who
question
they
the week
beat?
off. Then
Did they beat Geelong? Oh no, they beat Richmond, didn't they?
Yeah.
2
Yeah,
weeks before?
yeah, the guys that end up winning. Then people questioned that they lost momentum because of that week off. And I'm going,
Yeah.
well, what do you want? Freshen up or not?
Yeah.
So he's
But
up
you-
keen on
you
Well, it
that.
gotta-
depends on
gotta
your
look-
side at the time, doesn't
Yeah.
it? If you've got injuries, you want
Yeah.
a week off. If you
Like
haven't, you want to
Penrith,
keep
look
playing.
at Penrith. They were all those young blokes. They wouldn't have needed a week off. Then
Whereas
South
Melbourne-
went closed, and then Melbourne needed theirs, and then they had the best coach and knew how to peak at the right time.
I think too, but like the top 4, they make the top 4 and they get that privilege of winning that game, getting the week off. Whereas if you just give everyone a week off, that privilege is sort of nullified a bit, and it sort of brings the whole thing back down to sort of more evil or level. Obviously, you got to win 3 on the trot just to get there.
I know in
But
Super
That's
League,
not his kid.
Pommy Super League, you got to pick your opponent. When like the old top 8 system, you could pick who you want to play, which is
Jesus.
fuck. That's weird. Like anyone you pick, they could use the motivation as they've picked us because they think we're shit.
Yeah,
and coach would be trying to pump the side up. There you go.
Yeah.
They've picked us because they think this is an easy mark.
That's what we say Dana looks like. Oi, that's what I was gonna say. I thought you fucking had to come with Travis off the Tiger King.
Nah.
That was
I
tatted.
didn't put that much thought into
That was
it.
a long
Right.
time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No one
but
really-
double get like exact lookalike.
Put your jeans on, take your shirt off.
Yeah,
right. Borrow
get
that
gay,
sing-
suck
Yeah,
him
man.
off.
Wear his singlet.
We'll knock a few teeth out. You'll be right.
It's funny how you came
Do
up.
some eyes, suck him off.
It's
you know?
funny how you came up with that so quickly. It's like it's some sort of fantasy of yours, eh, weirdo? Yeah, come with it. Okay, keep answering.
Yeah. All right, so
Behind closed doors.
we got the mechanic. The mechanic comes in with what everyone thoughts of the NRL maybe talking of moving the Origin to the end of the season.
No,
No,
don't
don't
like
like
it.
it.
I like the middle.
I like
Only-
in the
Yeah.
middle of the year.
Can you look at the dramas we're having now with it?
Yeah.
Say, well, we're all touch wood thinking the world's going to be back to more normality in 12 months.
Yeah.
So can you imagine the overlap? Like, you forget that shit like Sheffield Shield cricket and that's still being played.
International
You've got
Rugby League.
Big Bash. Yeah, International Rugby League would take a massive shot from it. They talk about tinkering with it, but it'd be hard to get all the grassroots sides.
Yeah.
Like,
I-
look at like with you playing World Cup qualifiers. Can you picture that around now? Hopefully, like. With Uruguay, we'll be able to have a couple of games after the season. A lot of that shit would get kicked in the head,
Yeah.
like, and you wouldn't be able to do it. Like, and all the people that can't afford to go to Origin's fucking steep. How much you pay for tickets, don't
We got ours cheap, 150.
And yeah, and now that they're all way
150.
more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got
That's
some.
cheap because
They had some
past
way
years you
more.
pay 180 just for a stamp.
Yep,
ticket.
that-
Was
he's
it a
right.
girl on the T line? You said, "Fucking give it to me." Or I'll
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
you up.
Yeah, it's like me and you will fight for it right now. And then she
And-
beat me up, so I gave her 150. That's compensation.
Well, yeah,
So you look at that. Like, there's too much overlap with other sports, and we're not going to have AFL. We're not going to have an AFL grand final just the same weekend.
Yeah.
and all that shit. That won't be happening.
I also like when you see the teams a bit stranded and you see those new blokes coming in
Yeah.
on those weeks that we have Origin.
That's a good idea.
and you
And
do
all-
need buys.
Yeah, that's a big factor. That was the one I was thinking. Like, being in the middle of the season provides buys for sides. Like this year, we had 18 games straight. Obviously, it was a shortened season, but there was 18 games straight. There was no buys, no week offs, nothing. Whereas usually you play like your 12 or 13 games, and then you get another 12 or 13. You push in an extra 5 games. By the end of your 12-game stint, just that 1 week off makes a whole lot of difference in the middle of the season.
100%.
And if Penrith had won it, there's always going to be people go, would they have won it in a normal season? And you'd never know that. Like,
Yeah,
a couple of times in NFL history, there's been strikes,
yeah.
and both times Washington Redskins won it. And one of the questions was, when I was reading in books about it, people were like, could they have won it in a normal season? And the players said, we'll never know. We're the only ones with the rings.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt with Penrith, people that had the trophy already at the Leagues Club already.
Really?
Like, I just Triple M had Girdler and Geyer
Yeah.
on it. They were dead set,
Yeah, they were
right
loving
the
it.
band at home. Blocker said on the Matty John show, they have a, if they were to win this, would they appreciate, the gap between when they could win next? Not that they've won it yet, but this to me meant everyone thought that they'd got it done and dusted.
But also Penrith is a team that for the next couple of years they're going to be great.
They're going to be great, yeah.
I just hate to
I'd say
think-
they're going to get one in the next couple
Oh,
of
yeah,
years.
you'd think so, but I've seen sides like this before. When Johns was man of the match and Para got ambushed by the Knights, everyone thought Para was going to be good for a long time. And they're younger than them, Penrith, but Para made the 8 the next year and then didn't make it for fucking 2 or 3 years.
One thing you don't hear is Manly's going to be good ever in the short future.
The thing I worry about
But,
with this season that we just had, and as you were talking, Roddy, about would they have won it in a normal season, the way people look at it, saying if Penrith had won it this year, it would have been how good of a season Penrith had and how much adversity they had to come through just to get there. And you haven't heard much praise for Melbourne yet. There's been more hate than praise. People saying, "Oh, it was just like as there'll be an asterisk next to their win and stuff like that." Well, I don't know why. Why do you guys think it was more of an asterisk situation than it would have been saying this year would have been harder to win?
Because Penrith was became the fairy tale. They hadn't won it since 2003. Everyone comes up with these little like fucking similarities, like father and son combo. This, and this. That's fucking, what was it? Fucking Gary Gaines in Friday Night Lights said once, there ain't no curses in life except the ones you inflict on yourselves. Well, there ain't no destiny in there ain't no destiny in the fucking football universe.
But-
it's how you turn up and get it done. Melbourne turned up and got it done.
Yeah, I also said this to Sully. We were talking about it, Sully, how Melbourne also had a sweet Sunny Coast setup the whole time.
Yeah.
But they're away
They
from home.
loved
But
it.
Yeah.
do they have their families?
Yeah,
with
they had
them?
their families
most of them
cool.
have. But like, And so even not even in the NRL now, but in the NBA, the Lakers won the championship, and a lot of people are saying it's tainted. Like,
Yeah,
it means nothing. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And people are sort of. I'm not saying people don't think Melbourne fucking deserved it or like it wasn't a big achievement, but it just seems like it's been put a dampener on. Where I think it would have been even harder to win this season than any.
Yeah.
Like you're the side that's come through.
I
all
kind of
the
jump
adversity in the
on. I
whole
jump
world.
on board of. I just like seeing greatness, and Melbourne's one of those. It's like watching Tiger Woods win fucking the Masters. That's what Melbourne is to me at the moment.
Okay, say 4 years ago, they're going to win a title. If you had said to me 4 years ago, they had the Fox had played 6-7 games. They just got him from the Tigers, and I thought he was a talent. They got this kid Pappenhausen, who was the New South Wales 20s fullback and was fourth choice fullback when he went there. Yeah. With Brenko Lee and Olam in the centres. Like, this is going to be 3/4 of your back line, and they're going to get the job done. Like, things like that. Like, and no sort of superstar. Back then, the Hectic Cheese was still playing for Sunny Coast. Things like that. All this sort of shit. Like, man, that's a massive...
Plenty of movement. Monks was at fullback.
Where 2017, when I remember watching them beating the Cowboys, and they were that dominant, and they just blasted them. The Cowboys had gone on a Cinderella run, and it got to the big dance, and they were up for the battle. They were up to get it done.
Fuck, if I'm the cheese, I'm reaching out to every cheese company in Australia, seeing if I can do ads, commercials, get
and that's where a good manager, if this was the States... Yeah, and you win a Super Bowl. You have got like that many commercial and
bigger, better. It's the cheese doing it,
and those sort of things. And there's money going into your pocket.
All right, so we got another question from Gary Cox, minus the Gary. Who is the best player to have played for Roachdale Tigers, brothers Roachdale?
He's got a list there. So
he goes Brad Myers, Will Zillman, Brenko Lee, Quade Cooper, Guy Hamilton. I'm going to say Guy Hamilton straight up.
It'd be a tie with Brad Myers and Guy Hamilton.
Oh, Brad Myers. I love Brad. Big
Red.
Red.
Yeah. Well, look, he played for Australia. None of them others did. They always had good NRL careers.
Yeah.
And like...
Quade Cooper.
He had a bit of a sneaky there. Yeah, didn't he? Like...
But Brad Myers was good until he got a head knock. Or whatever.
Remember he got knocked out by, I think it was Mealy. Francis Mealy, big shot on him, and it affected him. It took him a while. Wasn't until he went to England and came back to the Titans when they started. Yeah. He was more like he was in the beginning then.
Quade Cooper is one of those frustrating ones where I don't think we ever saw the best of like him for the whole time.
Quade Cooper.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen him go play Super League. When he was talking about when Toronto. What about them? Toronto. It looks like they're going to get the fucking Coke and Sauce.
Oh yeah.
There was a talk. Hasn't happened yet, but it's meant to happen the next couple of days. That they're encouraging the Super League clubs to vote them out, just for you don't make any money out of them, with the supporters and shit. I'm hoping that doesn't happen because that's a kick in the ass to fucking International Rugby League.
All right, here's one. I was reading this before. It's from Dale Beale.
One of my mates, okay. Yeah, he used to.
So
he played in one of those sides.
I thought it was because Sully's on here as well. He goes, when will Mount Maria engage in the services of Supercoach Graham Lickner
blocker? He coached him in '99
to bring success back to the school. Will Mount Maria ever win another Bob Lindner trophy again, or at least be competitive again? Why are the 1991 and 1999 Bob Lindner trophy winning team photos not even displayed anymore?
Okay, that's a good question.
Good question. Well, we'll have to get on to Ray O'Brien and see if they're still in the archives.
Yeah,
and if they're there, we'll put them back up. Success a couple of years ago at Padua, when the confraternity was at Padua, we ran third in our comp. We only got beaten.
And that was in Bob Lindner?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was,
Yeah, that was a Bob Lindner.
That's a fair effort.
Oh, is that what that division is called?
Yeah, that's just like the runners-up one.
Success next year, mate. Next year. We're on fire for next year.
But you see us building again, Sully, especially with those kids all playing at Mitchie again, together and... that kind of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, we're getting better and better each year. We just don't have footballers at the school.
Yeah. And it's hard that you are a small school and you're not in. Like, you hear stories about, like, Jamie Burer was talking on a podcast about when he went to Patrician Brothers Blacktown, and they'd grab all these SG Ball kids from Penrith and Para and Harold Matts. He goes, any good footballer in the region, they'd get him to St. Pat's Blacktown. Because it's a big school, you want to go there. And out Endeavour, out Cronulla Way and shit like that, they get massively. You always see there's not many
There's
blokes
plenty
who
of
play in the
bigs,
NRL and haven't been at one of these
Yeah.
big
But,
powerhouse
Matraville
schools.
Sports.
But then-
Isles,
Yeah,
blokes
Matraville
like
in the
that,
eastern
yeah.
suburbs.
And
Yeah,
it's happening in our com too. With schools like Trinity down on the south side, they're going around all the southern, northern coast schools down there and picking all the state school kids and giving them scholarships and that.
Yeah,
That's
you just
right.
got
Play
to
footy.
you got to get a connection with a club. Like, and I was saying the other day, Villanova over there.
Villanova
over there.
near
Ju-
east.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just across from East there, they've got a bit of a rugby league program starting up with East, so you can see them just thriving through obviously just that connection with East. And, obviously not straight away, but it's a stepping stone. So.
But also, like with the Matt Gillette Cup this year, we knocked off two teams that knocked us off fairly heavily last year,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
knocked them off this year, and that's why we're kind of spewing
Didn't a
it.
couple of in the Matt Gillette Cup? Didn't a couple of like state schools want to? They asked if they could.
Yeah, well, because no one had league, so they were all asking to jump in. But a lot of them, you email their organisers, and they don't. They're just not on. They're not quick enough. Yeah, like we because we need to get fucking permission slips, team lists, and all that. And so we just got to get the teams we get in.
Which would have been in a way good seeing, say, Wavell play against Marist and those strong schools. But for the schools that aren't as strong, you wouldn't want to draw them in your pool. And they come in, and they've been training to play rugby league all year.
It was good
and
having
giving
Iona and Padua there.
And I have heard that Maple Park do, coached by your adopted father. I won't name his name, but he was the Tomahawks assistant coach.
Your mate, Lee Addison.
Yeah, Lee does. They don't mind. They don't mind offering scholarships to kids and shit like that, and stuff like that as well.
Maple Park's a state school, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you get a scholarship there? What do they do?
They all right. Well, I know with Maple Park, a lady I was working with, her son was going into grade 8. They were going to pay for all his schooling and football stuff up until grade 10, but he wanted to go to Marsden with his mates. So he went there, and I told her, every time he doesn't want to do something, you go, listen, you could have been going to Maple Park and I wouldn't have to pay for nothing. So, and now you're going to Marsden, and it's the lure of going to these big schools with your mates, and you feel like you're someone because you're strutting around wearing this gear, playing in that jersey. It makes it.
Marsden have got a good school.
Yeah, real good.
And they've got a good setup there now. They've got new playing fields and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, well, they've put some talent out over the past few years. So,
but also,
I think Branko Lee went there.
Also, Dale, in 91 and 99, we didn't have to worry so much about Samoans. So we're trying to get around that obstacle as well now.
Well,
so
that's a big problem. We have no front rowers.
Okay.
yeah,
and that's
hard when you got no forwards.
And it's a thing though too. How do you tee up, like, if a bunch of good kids around 15 turning 16 going in grade 11, they go and say they're in a Brisbane side together, in a rep side, and they say we should go to school at Wavell with a couple of their mates there to make a real strong side. Now, that's happened in the past because you're going there and it's going to be as strong as side. You're at Mount Maria. How do you entice people to come when you don't know what you're offering them? You know what I mean? You can't do what some of these other schools do and go, listen, you come, you get, we'll give you this, this, and this. It's not your sort of program. You can't offer them scholarships and all this other stuff. Like if you're going to say Morris Brothers on a rugby scholarship, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we need an old boys set up. Like at Morris, at Ashgrove, they have a really strong old boys who look after all that sort of stuff for them.
And on big games, like those rivalry games, these people are always there. The connection from the past and that sort of thing. And one thing, like with Mitchie with club stuff, I'd love the old boys to be come down and, and I spoke to people about this and people going, oh yeah, but they're busy with stuff. I'm going, yeah, but I'm not talking about helping out coaching and that. We've got coaches, we've got players, but I'm in on big days and get people to meet some of these boys, have a beer with them and just learn the culture of the joint, especially when you've got young guys coming in. It's the same with a school. These people go to these big schools and it's like going to a college in the States and how they're getting the that's
green
their team.
football.
That's their team till the day they die.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I
like
suppose by organising more games at the school,
Yeah.
we could start to build that culture
That's
and
it.
things like that.
and that's
fill in
one
the
thing
hill.
Wave will do. They started doing like homecoming games at the school
Yeah.
and shit like that.
And
They're
but
massive.
it's good having like Stanley at Wavell because we've started now just doing trials against Wavell,
Yeah.
just because like never like because they're a state school and they know that they can get a game against us because they reach out to us and they were like, yeah, for sure, because we want our boys to see that level.
Yeah.
And then when we go into like a Division 3 confra, they're like, oh, we've been at this level trying to compete. Now let's do it
And
against this.
it is hard for you boys. How many times a week do you train with your
We
senior
still
kids?
do it twice
Twice
a
a
week.
Yeah, and
And
then
then when we get a gym set up, it could be 2 to 3 times a week. Me and Sully got to talk to him, but
We've started. We've got plans in place.
and that's what you and that's all you can do. And you just got to hope people buy in and want to help you do this.
Yeah.
Because you can go with. I always wondered over the years, like with Fernie Grove, there's been plenty of good footballers go to Fernie Grove, and I said to a mate of mine who's a teacher there once, I said years ago, I said, why don't they ever play like a Rive Live Cup or it was Commonwealth Bank Cup back then when it just changed, and they said, mate, the sports master was a rigged rugby guy, so he'd want to put him, put him in a
that's the other
rugby
thing
thing.
we do too. We contact the other schools in our area, try
Yeah.
and get games of football, but no one wants to play.
no, that's it. Everyone's keen. Everyone's like, yeah, for sure. And then you get back onto them, and they haven't organised it.
And it's like, this sounds good
Yeah.
until you got to play.
Yeah.
And then like in a region like this, you can somehow like just fluke it through to the zone finals because there's not enough teams to play against. So you got like three teams. One side can't field, one school can't field a team that week, so you get by on default.
Well, and we're unlucky enough to be in our zone. We're in Wavell zone.
Yeah.
So if we entered that competition, no other schools enter. We'd have to play Wavell our first game.
But then, yeah, exactly. But then also with the other side, me and Sully do the Met North girls, and we're lucky enough to have Wavell in our area. So it's
To
good.
pick from and all those sort of things, and that would be great in a way that you come in and people they're getting coached well. So it's like when these Storm guys get into a Queensland or New South Wales system, you know that they've been coached well in the basics. Like when Tim Gladsby used to make it and people go, Tim who? He's a front rower on a side that's on top, and he's coming from a Melbourne system where he's been his defence around the ruck, and he knows second to none, and he's not going to let you down. Things like that. You bring things in. I was listening to Charlotte Caslick in a podcast the other day.
We jacking
and
off?
she was no. And he doesn't think that Sully. He doesn't think that.
Yeah.
He said and she said her old man used to play A grade. He was 5'8" at West back in the day.
He's a Stanthorpe boy. We from up near our area.
Oh yeah,
Catholic,
and that's why that's
Yeah.
why they own property. Yeah, her and Louis Hollander, her partner, fucking own shit up there. She was saying. Next, she was saying
Did you used to
that.
jack him off on the property?
What are you talking about, fuckwit? You're bringing this show to a bad level. When people see what you actually look like in that wife beater singlet, and we know you couldn't punch the fucking throff off a rice pudding, clown. She was saying that the dad would be giving her advice, but at Roosters training, because they play a different way. She's going, Dad, the coaches tell me not to do that. It would be hard to fucking teach kids something if their parents are telling them something different. See, it's all right for you because your knowledge of attacking footy is pretty limited. By say limited, I mean almost non-existent. Okay, you're
Keeps
just
it simple. He likes the simple
yeah,
stuff.
keep it until a bloke doesn't run the
Kids,
fucking.
keep it civil, stupid.
Until someone doesn't run the non-existent line you've never told them about, and you flip out.
Instead of family and shit, I write that on my wrist. KISS. I just look at that every time when I'm about to do a big move. No, just keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, no. But
That's
get
right,
back
cut.
to
Yeah.
righty.
Brush this fuckwit. Yes.
Parents can ruin coaching.
Oh,
the time.
I know. There's always somebody, and I've never coached kids, but I always hear stories about parent will come up. I remember Laney telling me one of the mums of the kids in his team gave him a team list before a game was played where people should play, and he said he varied on 3/4 of this list, or half of it would have been I think my son, this boy should be here and that boy should be here, and he's going. And you politely just got to decline.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you think your son's a 6 and he's a second rower or a front rower.
That's it. Like me and Sully put our hand up to do the year 12 years old.
Yeah.
And the fucking parents, they're crazy. Like that's
The North
when
District's
the
rugby
North
league
Districts,
side to go
like,
to the Met North
yeah,
trial.
like
so
they
we had to
asked
go pick a
us,
side.
and we're like, yeah, we can sort that out. And then when Sully highlighted at the moment there wasn't a year 10 Met North boys thing. And in my head straight away, I'm just thinking of the parents for like a boys, like 15-year-olds, compared to girls. Girls is at the moment it's a fair bit easier.
Yeah.
But you choosing that year 10 Met North side,
And
that parent going, nah, he's a halfback, he's a 5'8", he's a yeah.
My
He's
son-
signed here. He's got a tracksuit
Yeah.
from this company.
Yeah.
and that's what I mean about all these development squads, where you go, oh yeah, my son plays in the Redlands development squad, and he's a half. Yeah, he might be the best half there, but he's a good player. But we've got another two blokes who are better in that role than he is, where we need him to play fullback, or in the centres or something.
Yeah, or if they keep making all these junior development sides, he played in development side every year since he was 0, and now he's 12, and he doesn't make the side, and then he goes home crying and doesn't like playing footy anymore, and we push kids away from the game that way.
Oh yeah, and I really think that we need to be coaching kids like skill wise, because you've got to be able to know how to speak to people, like men or kids, but you've got to not piss in their pocket too much to the fact that they believe they're going better than what they are. If you need them to fix something, you need to be able to speak openly and say, listen mate, you're going good, but we need you to fix this and this. Because if you can't handle like constructive criticism early or learn to pass, there's nothing worse than when you see blokes coming in at 19 or 20 and they can't pass for dog shit.
Yeah.
Like and that's not their fault. Some coaches are just volunteers that have gone out there. Not everybody loves footy like I do. Not many people do. Not everybody analyses it and sits around and thinks, fuck, how can we make that better? Because that's what I like to do. And at times I'm talking to people and I've said things like, where will they score on the tries in that game? And they're looking at me as if, over the try line, Roddy. And I'm going, no, like out wide, middle, edge, like, and they're, okay, and they didn't understand about edge defend. Some people, like, I've known blokes who are rugby league journalists, like, and they don't know what a block shape is and things like that. And I'm going, haven't you worked out? There's buzzwords that they use in commentary all the time, things like that. Like some people can watch it but not understand it, and this is no offense against anybody, but people don't understand how it works. Like when I listen to different podcasts and they're rapping me how good a guy went, and he might not have had a bad game, but they're talking about him like a man of the match. I'm going, yeah, he was solid, but he wasn't the best player on the field. Like somebody said about Gagai the other day, how his defence will really stiffen up the Queenslanders.
No.
Gagai cannot defend a fucking closed door in the centres. He's a very good footballer, set starter, and he'll turn up on plays.
And when he plays for Queensland, he's the best winger in the world.
Oh, it's fucking good.
He's
He's
unbelievable.
just like
not
Boyd,
a centre.
Like,
He's not a centre.
And he doesn't catch pass well.
If you told me Boyd was on the wing for Queensland this year, I'd be like, okay, sweet.
And he'd probably score 2 tries.
Yeah.
If
in a
Gagai
game.
gets picked in the centres, that's why I was really keen on Capewell moving back into the centres, pushing Gags.
I think I rate that
Capewell
Capewell.
won't. I don't rate him.
I think he goes good.
He'll start in the centres,
No.
100%.
No, he won't.
Yeah, that's the talk. That's the talk. Gagai, like he will struggle with anyone if they're playing fast.
There's no way Gagai's
he gets
containing
schooled.
one.
Yeah.
There's no way.
And then like that's the thing though. But
Gagai got absolutely schooled by Moses Sewell that day at Brookie.
Yeah.
And that was the start of me looking at him in the centres thinking, Jesus, get yourself back to the wing as fast as you can.
Save
your career. Cause
that all comes down to controlling the speed of the ruck. And like we're saying, like there are kids you look at it, like one thing I noticed with these rugby kids, their catch pass skills today, like in the reserve grade grand final, they scored this ripper of a try with a big number 8, gets the ball from a dropout, puts a bit of a step on, he does a short pass down the left, and they go quick hands, put the winger in space, turn, and he passes back inside to blokes on the push.
But that's that with rugby, they're expected to have that pass.
Yeah, they do. They learn
spot on.
They learn all that early, which teach people like, and that's what you would have found with the girls and that. Girls and women's like the skills like they have now from playing a lot of touch and OzTag and TRL and all those sort of things. Like that Brigginshaw is a very, very skillful player. Yeah, like she's got.
But she's like your Ronda Rousey when she's a champ. Like she's like girls are going to catch up to her very quickly. Like Ronda Rousey was a champ for so long because she had an arm bar and she did judo, and no one was actually training as a mixed martial artist. And now, like with Brigginshaw, there's girls coming through that are rugby league players, and it's going to catch up very quickly, I think.
And that Aiken, talking about Brigginshaw, I thought Aiken in the grand final was better than Brigginshaw. She had a great game. Yeah,
she was good. Tamika Upton at the back was great. Yeah. She was really good.
And friend of the podcast, Julie Robinson, she's my favourite. I wish she was here tonight, but she had a blinder all season.
Yeah.
She had
in
her
the
best
centres,
season. She was great.
Will they play her in the centres for Queensland, you think?
I think so.
Yeah, either. Yeah. I think she'll be in the side.
Yeah, she just gets to be more physical in there, doesn't she? Like, and get more hands on the ball and also tackles. Like, But with Dean Baldry, he goes, will the Mason-Dixie line ever be redrawn? When will the South rise again? He's
talking about like a North v South like thing in the States, like the Civil War. He loves a few things like that.
Won't.
He's a sketchy character.
Let's say negative.
Calm down, Dina.
Just a no.
That's a question you expect from a guy on a bender. I think he was sober when he said that.
Well, we got
just throwing. He's a bit of a character.
We got to take this pitch out. We've been going for 94 minutes.
It's been a good time. Been a good time.
So you want to take this out? Let Sol say
some thanks heaps for coming on. It's been great. You've got us a lot more listeners and probably a lot more viewers. Talking footy with you and talking footy with Christian Freed, well, there's a massive gap. Holy shit, man. I'm actually shocked, spun out. I feel like I'm pissed after 2 golds. It's been that fun. Who's the best Warwick player you reckon you've ever seen? Because you have plenty of good ones out there. You remember, Mick Curry?
Mick Curry, yeah.
He owns a personal training thing just down the road from me.
Oh, yeah. Mick, I'm very good friends with the Curry family. Actually, his dad, Joe, a legend in town, he's my godfather.
Oh, seriously, small world.
Yeah, small world. Mick, he was one of the best coming out. Probably from Warwick, around my era, he would have to be the best. I'm trying to think.
He was junior Kangaroos.
He was.
He played one NRL game. One NRL at the Cows and a few at the Broncos.
He played. He went to the Cowboys and then to the Broncos. Hung like a horse.
Yeah, played.
I'd be in the showers with him.
Yeah. Played for Lebanon too.
Yeah. I'm thinking when I was coming through, like Michael Hancock played in Stanthorpe. Even before my time, Rowan Hancock, big front rower.
Yeah, that's Steph Hancock's dad. Yeah,
he was one of the best. There's been plenty from the Toowoomba area.
Yeah, like at rep level when you went to rep level, like.
There's heaps of them. Blokes I played with, Peter Kings from St George was one of the best I reckon I've played with. He went to Manly for a little while and then back.
Did you ever hear of Mark Offerdale from out
he was after me. I left town.
Sauce, though Sauce left town too, forced out, like ran out by a lynch mob.
Well, it'd be a good place to get run out of Gundy.
just out of blokes I know from Warwick, like the Robinsons brothers and that, Christian and Christian went down to Para. He played reserve grade at Para.
Brett O'Farrell was a good front row for Storm.
Brett O'Farrell, that's him who's the working with Melbourne, the West Panthers now. That's the same Brett O'Farrell.
Bumper O'Farrell, yeah.
That's him.
He's a good, tough. He was always going to be a footballer. He's a few years younger than me, obviously.
Good story about him.
Yeah.
He went to. He's the only bloke that is not invited back to Melbourne's old boys days.
Really?
Because in an article, he blew the whistle on some of their wrestling techniques at the time when they were denying them all.
Oh, really?
And he never gets invited back. He's been blacklisted because of that. Because you broke the inner sanctum.
And he went to jail?
No. He just knows that. He's like you, but can play. He's awesome with the wrestle.
Okay.
And he's working with West Brisbane Panthers now.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's his gig, yeah.
So now he's like you, but can coach.
Yeah. You're level negative. Have you even got a level 1 coaching job? You got carried by a bloke who doesn't even coach anymore in Adrian Starkey. He was the difference between you winning and losing. You were just a token guy in the team.
All right, sweet bro. But let's take this bitch out and take this coach out, all right?
That's the spirit. Okay.
Thanks, Sal. Cheers, mate.
No worries, thank you.
Okay, thanks again. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Freedy. If you need any personal development stuff, just send a message to Christian James on Facebook, and he'll reply. If you post money in his bank account, he'll probably send you dick pics regularly. All right. Thanks again to everyone. Keep fighting through COVID, and we'll bounce back. And go the Maroons. Don't give up the faith. Don't be a mercenary.
Thanks, Sol.
Thank you.